Hi, friends. Welcome to You Are Magic with Karina Mosqueda, your host. I am an intuitive healer, past life regressionist, and spiritual coach. This podcast is all about spirituality, about healing, about the magic and chaos behind this whole journey. I will be sharing from my own experiences and hope that you can learn and you can gain some insight on this journey along the way. I also want to add, just like I do in my sessions and with anyone I come across, please take what resonates and leave what doesn't. Hi, friends. It's so good to be back. I've taken a little bit of a break from this podcast simply because life has been happening around me. There was so much going on around me. I took a trip to Morocco, which was amazing and beautiful in so many ways. I came back and I've just been settling in with my clients, trying to get back on schedule with everything that's going on around me. And so I haven't been catching up with episodes, but here we go. I am here with a brand new episode. And with this episode, today I want to be talking about love, relationships, karmic partners, soulmates, and twin flames. I feel like this is such a hot topic right now. There's a lot of movement going around with a lot of my clients and myself, a lot of our love lives. And so I think that it's so important to talk about how different this journey is for everyone. And so I'm going to be sharing a little bit about my story, about what I've ran into when it comes to the spiritual journey and love and relationships and finding karmic partners, soulmates, and twin flames. Twin flames is one of the hottest subjects out there. And I feel like so many of us have it wrong. So I want to start off by explaining what each of these terms mean. So, a karmic partner is someone who is sent to us as a lesson that we need to learn from a previous lifetime. And usually, this relationship will be toxic, unhealthy, just a bad relationship. Then we have soulmates. Now, soulmates come in so many different ways. It could be a romantic partner, it could be friends, it could be teachers, it could be just anyone who is on this journey who you run into that teaches you, that supports you, that uplifts you in so many ways. And even with soulmates, we do have lessons that we need to learn within ourselves. But usually these lessons are a little bit more on the calm side, if that makes sense. And so the third one is the twin flame. I'm going to be real honest here. I'm still very confused about what exactly a twin flame is. And it's because this term gets thrown around so much. Like, oh my God, especially in spiritual journey, I found my twin flame, my twin flame, my twin flame. I'm like, how do you know the difference? And it is very hard to tell the difference between a karmic, a soulmate, and a twin flame. More so because when we're in the depths of this relationship, this situationship, whatever you want to call it, it's hard for us to see what's in front of us because of the emotions that we're feeling in the moment. So a twin flame is supposed to be a mirror of yourself. It's supposed to be two halves of one whole. Usually, this is a romantic relationship. Whereas in soulmates, it can be, like I said, friendships, strangers, even sometimes. Okay, so for me, the first lesson I learned was with a karmic relationship. Um, so I was in a relationship for 10 years. It was a very toxic relationship, very unhealthy. And for the longest time, I mean, I put this person on a pedestal. The moment that I met him, it was so interesting. And I'll break down this story. But the first night that I met him, I was at the club and I saw him across the room. And we locked eyes and there was just this pull towards him. And now that I'm here, now that I'm more self-aware, I'm able to understand that what I was feeling in that moment was the emotion of I could save him. And that's exactly what it felt like the whole relationship, where I was like, oh my God, this person has been through the trenches. Like, I'm the best thing that ever happened to him. Like, I could save him, I could make him better. And I think that we worked through so much to the point where, yes, he did become a better person at the end. Um, but there's just some things that you can't help a person with at the end of the day, including myself. I was shown very toxic traits about myself, traits that I'm not happy that I had. But, this karmic relationship brought so much pain, so much sadness, so much triggering, so much anger, that it really was a catalyst for me to move forward in my healing journey and do better for myself. And so, for the longest time, 10 years, we were in this relationship, in and out of this relationship. I put him in a pedestal. I always wanted him to do better. I wanted him to be better for me. I knew I deserved better, but I believed in him so much that I continued to allow, the mistreatment and all the toxic energy. And so, fast forward to, I think it was like 3 years before I finally was done with this relationship. There was a point that I was like, you know what? Like, this is it. This is all my life is going to be. I'm going to marry this person. And then what? Our life is going to continue like this. I was like, this is not good enough for me. And so there was that self-awareness, but because I was a person pleaser, I wasn't ready to break his heart. And I also wasn't ready to break my heart, because I actually had this download not too long ago. A heartbreak is the biggest ego death that you will ever have in your life, because you're releasing an old version of yourself. And that is painful as a motherfucker. A heartbreak is the worst thing that you can experience, physically, emotionally, mentally. It does so much to your nervous system. I can't. There's so much to that. But yes, so finally, when I decided to leave, um, it my whole life, that's when I left the relationship and quit my job, and started really moving into spirituality. I've talked about this before. But it wasn't until a few months later, when I was in a past life regression, that I realized why I had met this individual. So one of the biggest reasons, and one of the biggest excuses, and I'm saying excuse because this was a huge excuse. This was the excuse that I used as an out of this relationship, because I didn't find the guts enough to truly be honest with him. Um the whole idea of kids. He wanted kids. And so I'm a person who, I'm not ready to have kids yet. I'm I say in my mind, there's so many pieces to having kids that I'm not ready to let go of my freedom as an individual to have kids yet. Well, that was one of the biggest pieces where I was like, I can't be in this relationship anymore because I don't want kids. And so when I had the past life regression, I was shown this individual as a hawk. I was an eagle. And so this hawk comes over to my baby birds, my baby eagles, and pretty much massacres my kids. And so it was interesting because I remember seeing this hawk in the eyes, and it was the same look I had from the first night that I met him at the club when I saw him dancing. It was that same look. And I was like, oh my God, this is you from a previous lifetime. And so my spirit team goes on to tell me, this is why this lifetime, specifically me not wanting kids, was his karma in a sense. And there was other pieces as to why we were each other's karma. Um, but that was one of the main reasons. And so that's really how I was able to release a lot of the energy from that relationship, because I was like, I understand it from a higher perspective where I'm able to see why it had to work out the way that it did. And I was able to find forgiveness, um, not only for him, but also for myself, because for a long time, I felt like I allowed myself to be treated that way. I allowed myself to go through this situation over and over and over again. And that was really, really, really hard. You know, I had to really sit with myself a lot of times and go back to that previous version of Karina where I would just hug her and be there for her. And so that's how I connected the dots, karmic relationship, keep it moving. So then, shortly after, I meet this awesome guy who I just feel an instant connection with. And it was giving very much soulmate energy. I just felt very comfortable with him off the bat, and there was just this chemistry between us. And so as I got to know him a little bit more, I realized that yeah, this was definitely, there was something there. And so we got into this little bit of a situationship because we both cared for each other and we both wanted to explore things a little bit, but it was um there was a lot of physical barriers. So I actually I had multiple past lives with this certain individual, where in each lifetime, this soulmate, we had amazing lives, but for some reason or another, there was always like a harmful death. There was some type of event that pulled us apart, that you know completely destroyed us. In one specific lifetime, I was a siren. And in that lifetime, I and I've connected with this specific lifetime multiple times. I've been this siren who has been, just traveling the ocean looking, trying to connect with this soulmate again. After the previous lifetimes, he was taken away from me. And so I get this sense as a siren that there's this energy of me looking for this soulmate, and so I'm not living my life because I'm so focused on him. So fast forward to this lifetime where I meet this soulmate again. And so I meet him, and guys, honestly, I'm just smitten by everything, right? I'm like, oh my God, I found my soulmate. Oh my God, like, yeah, this has to work out. We've had previous lifetimes together. Like, this is a lifetime where we change everything. And I'm going to be real fucking honest here, because this is what we do as women. We give our power away. So I stopped focusing on a lot of my work because I was focused on him. I was on his time, his terms, waiting for him to call me, waiting for him to text me, waiting for him to make the move. I was just sitting there waiting for that. Eventually, what happened was, what this person tells me is that he's working on himself. And so I took that as an invitation to say, okay, well, he can't be in a relationship right now because he's working on himself. And in the background, so much is happening for me. This was in January of 2024. I quantum leaped so much since then. It was two mushroom trips that absolutely blasted me off. And so I was like, that's fine, because I'm focusing on myself too. Um, so we're not talking as much anymore, but in the background, I'm doing my own thing. I'm handling my own things. Well, a few months later, he reaches out to me, and he ends up telling me that he's dating someone and all this information that I felt like a fool, right? Because I was like, I thought it was supposed to be me and you. And this is not on him. This is because, again, I've seen so many of these past lives that we were together, and this was the lifetime that we were supposed to make it work. So I started questioning my intuition because I was like, did I even really see those lifetimes? What is happening? Um, so as I'm going through the trenches of all this and dealing with all of this, eventually I come out of it and I am able to see from a higher perspective that this soulmate came into my lifetime to allow me to really step in my power, to really be in my divine energy as as a healer, as a woman, as a powerhouse. And so it took me like a good 3 months, honestly, of just going back and forth. Like, okay, well, I'm going to work on myself. In the meantime, I'm waiting for him, but I'm not really waiting for him. I mean, I was still in this mentality of he might come back. And so there was really a point in my whole journey where I started focusing on myself, where that meant more self love. That meant being more focused on my clients, on my business. And so when I say self love, I mean affirmations. I mean, showing up for myself. That means like a spa day, being more gentle with myself and knowing that it all starts with me. The love starts with me. So if I learn to love myself, then that world will mirror that back to me. And so all of this is happening in 2024, guys. I feel like 2024 was 10 years lived in one. um so finally, right before I went on this trip to Morocco, I had the biggest release around this situation with this individual. Um After doing multiple Reiki sessions and spinal energetics, I I was able to understand that there was actually a lot of trauma in my body that I had been holding on to when it comes to this person, the situations that we experienced this lifetime and previous past lives. And so I was able to see that in my body. And when I released, there was almost like this moment of like a clean slate. Like, okay, I'm done. I'm focused on me. I'm taking my power back. And this is all about me. And so, mind you, at this point, again, I'm so focused on my self love game, right? It's a ritual for me to show myself self love. And I think that's the biggest piece, the most important piece when it comes to wanting to attract our partner, our significant other, is we have to learn to love ourselves the way that we would want someone else to love us. We have to do it first because everything is from within and then it goes outwards. Then the world shows up for us. So I released this guy and I'm focused on me. And in Morocco, I made a new connection. I met someone who has been absolutely amazing to me in so many ways. Like the universe shocked me, and the universe has really surprised me in the way that this showed up. And so, as I'm talking to friends, as I'm telling them about this situation, they're telling me, he's your twin flame. And I'm like, I guess. I don't know what a twin flame is. So I've actually held myself back from looking at him as my twin flame because I think that the twin flame journey is actually meant to keep you down more than it is actually meant to keep you going. Because again, we get so caught up in the fact of this man, I'm waiting for him, I'm moving energy for him, I'm going to make him a better person. He's going to be a better person for me. We get so stuck in that we really don't allow ourselves to see further. I actually remember maybe back in like March or April, I started looking at this girl's page. I can't remember her name on TikTok, but she was a twin flame coach. And so she goes on TikTok every day and she talks about where the twin flame is at. And so I'm like, oh, I'm getting caught up in it a little bit. And so, she's saying all these things, and I remember reading the comments. And so people were like, well, he unfortunately he's still with his wife, or he's still in this third party is involved in the situation, or yeah, he's just been drinking a lot, he's just been doing drugs. Like, the way that these women were talking about their twin flame, like, in me, I was like, there is no way. Really opened up my eyes to the point, was like, okay, I can't watch this lady anymore, because there's no fucking way that I'm dealing with that shit, that my future person is out there doing things that I'm not. And so I stopped watching her. And actually, like 3 months ago, I ran into her page, and the video that I saw that came up for me was that she was announcing to her followers that she is no longer calling herself a twin flame coach, that she is no longer focusing on her twin flame, that she is taking her power back, that she's going to start focusing on herself and start just downloading information for herself and for the divine feminine. And I remember feeling so fucking happy, because I was like, that's what the fuck I'm talking about. Let's take our power back, women. Let's take our fucking power back and stop focusing on these men. Like, if a man wants you, he's gonna show you, he's gonna make it work regardless of the situation. And that is exactly what is happening to me. This man is willing to move countries, he is willing to do the absolute most for me. There's a piece of me that's a little bit afraid, because it almost seems too good to be true. And that's exactly where I'm at right now. Like, it does seem too good to be true. But he's also so grounded in his energy that he is keeping me just present. I think that's so beautiful, that we are always overthinking. We are overthinking every fucking situation that we get into, and not realizing that the present moment is all that matters. And I've been able to really see that, even if he is my twin flame, even if he is another person who I'm just meant to connect with in the moment, he's going to propel me to move forward in whatever sense. He's going to prepare me for the next person, for the next relationship, for the next whatever it is that it might be. And I know some of us are tired of dealing with all the bullshit and, all the love. But that's why it's so important, again, to learn to love yourself first. Learn to take care of yourself. There's so much beauty in finding yourself. You learn so much about yourself. Honestly, I am directing myself to a lot of the women, but this message is also for the men, because our men also need to learn to love themselves. Because when we learn to love ourselves, then we can teach the person who comes along how to love us, what we like. We're able to have healthy conversations around that. So, with all of this, I challenge you to focus on yourself, to let go of the expectations, to really tap into your own intuition, into your own power, because not every love journey is the same. And that is one thing that I know for a fact. Hearing from so many people around me, no one's journey is the same. What might seem like a karmic at the beginning might turn up to be the person that you do end up marrying, having a happy life with. And vice versa, when it comes to soulmates and twin flames, like, everything is intertwined. So putting a label on things is probably not the best thing to do. Like I said, specifically when it comes to a twin flame, do not get caught up. Focus on you. Put your energy back into the things that really, really are going to help you shift and move and become a better person. We don't have to do the most. The universe is always, always, always conspiring in your favor. I promise you that. I know that for fucking fact. The universe will move mountains to make sure that you get what you deserve, exactly what you want. And I also want to say, that you don't always have to be clear on the type of person that you want, because you think that you might want something, but the universe always, always knows what you need. I manifested my karmic partner back. I manifested him the way that I wanted him to act, the way that I wanted him to be. And at the end, it wasn't enough for me. I manifested my perfect person, quotation marks, perfect person. And that was my soulmate. When he came in the picture, I was like, this is it. I manifested him. He's the one. And turns out he wasn't. Then I'm in this recent connection, and he's everything that I would have never figured to manifest, but he's everything that I need right now. That is the best way I can put it. So, my loves, friends, females, males, whatever it is that you are, whatever it is that you're into, just know that the universe is always conspiring in your favor. You just have to take your power back. You have to focus on you. Okay, friends, that is it for today. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here, for being a part of the You Are Magic community, for being a part of this revolution that's happening in the world. If you're listening on Spotify, if you're watching on YouTube, I hope to see you next week, and I hope that you have an amazing rest of your week. See you soon.